Have you ever felt like an observer at the edge of a crowded room, watching as others immerse themselves in what appears to be meaningful social connection, yet feeling strangely detached from it all? Not from anxiety or awkwardness, but from a deeper sense that something about this social spectacle rings hollow. If so, you might be experiencing what Arthur Schopenhauer, one of history's most provocative philosophers, identified as the natural consequence of superior intelligence, a profound disconnection from conventional social life that isn't a flaw, but rather a feature of intellectual depth. Today, we embark on a philosophical journey that will challenge everything you think you know about intelligence, social connections, and the pursuit of happiness. Through the lens of Schopenhauer's radical insights, we'll explore why highly intelligent individuals often find themselves naturally gravitating away from social life, and why this might not be the problem our society assumes it to be. The revelations ahead may fundamentally transform how you view your own relationship with solitude and social interaction. Picture the typical social gathering, a sea of animated conversations, laughter, and what appears to be genuine human connection. We've been conditioned since childhood to believe that this is the essence of a well-lived life. But what if this assumption is built on a fundamental misunderstanding of human fulfillment? Schopenhauer proposed a radical notion that intelligence and solitude are inherently intertwined, not as a curse, but as a natural consequence of mental depth. According to him, the more intelligent a person becomes, the less they require external stimulation for fulfillment. This isn't about superiority or antisocial tendencies. It's about the rich internal landscape that develops within a deeply thinking mind. Consider this paradox. While most people seek company to escape the emptiness they feel when alone, highly intelligent individuals often seek solitude to escape the emptiness they perceive in most social interactions. This isn't mere introversion or social anxiety. It's a fundamental difference in how the intelligent mind processes and values human connection. As we delve deeper into Schopenhauer's philosophy, we encounter a troubling revelation about the nature of most social interactions. He argued the majority of human social behavior isn't driven by genuine connection or intellectual exchange, but by a more primitive need to escape the discomfort of being alone with one's thoughts. Think about your own social experiences. How many conversations have you had that truly challenged your thinking or expanded your understanding of the world? How often do you find yourself engaging in what Schopenhauer called mutual monologues? Exchanges where each person simply waits for their turn to speak rather than truly listening and engaging with the other's ideas. The intelligent mind quickly recognizes these patterns and finds itself naturally withdrawing, not out of arrogance, but out of an instinctive recognition that something essential is missing from these exchanges. This recognition often leads to what appears to be social disengagement, but is actually a form of intellectual self-preservation. Perhaps the most profound aspect of Schopenhauer's insight is what he termed the burden of clarity, the unique challenge faced by intelligent individuals who see through the social illusions that comfort others. This clarity comes with a price of the inability to find satisfaction in the kind of superficial connections that seem to sustain the majority of people. Consider the historical examples: Isaac Newton, Nikola Tesla, Emily Dickinson, individuals whose brilliant minds led them to choose solitude not because they couldn't navigate social life, but because they found something more valuable in their isolation. Their stories challenge our contemporary assumption that social withdrawal is always a symptom of dysfunction rather than a potential path to deeper understanding. But this raises a crucial question. If intelligent people naturally withdraw from social life, are they doomed to isolation? Schopenhauer's answer is more nuanced than one might expect. He argued that the key lies not in rejecting all human connection, but in being highly selective about the nature of our social engagements. True connection, in his view, isn't found in the quantity of our social interactions, but in their quality. When intelligent individuals do form relationships, they tend to be based on genuine intellectual or emotional resonance rather than mere social convenience. These connections, while rarer, tend to be deeper and more meaningful than the casual friendships that make up most people's social networks. As we approach the heart of Schopenhauer's philosophy, we encounter perhaps his most radical proposition that solitude, far from being a state to be feared or avoided, might actually be the key to the deepest forms of human fulfillment. He argued that only in solitude can we truly develop our intellectual and creative capacities to their fullest extent. This isn't just philosophical theory, it's supported by countless examples throughout history of great thinkers, artists, and innovators who produced their most significant work in periods of relative isolation. Their solitude wasn't a retreat from life, but rather an engagement with its deepest aspects. In our hyper-connected modern world, Schopenhauer's insights take on new relevance. We live in an age where constant social connection is not just encouraged but expected, where solitude is increasingly viewed as problematic, and where the pressure to maintain an active social presence is greater than ever before. Yet paradoxically, rates of loneliness and social dissatisfaction continue to rise. Could it be that our society's insistence on constant social engagement is actually preventing us from developing the kind of internal resources that lead to true fulfillment? Are we, in our fear of solitude, actually creating the very emptiness we're trying to avoid? The most profound insight that emerges from Schopenhauer's philosophy isn't just about intelligence or social life. It's about the nature of human fulfillment itself. He suggests that what we often mistake for social need is actually a symptom of internal emptiness, and that the path to genuine contentment lies not in accumulating social connections, but in developing our capacity for independent thought and self-sufficiency. This doesn't mean we should all become hermits, but rather that we might benefit from reconsidering our relationship with solitude. Perhaps the intelligent person's natural gravitation away from social life isn't a problem to be solved but a wisdom to be understood. Consider this. What if your desire for solitude, your discomfort with superficial social interactions, and your preference for deeper, more meaningful connections aren't signs of social failure but of intellectual maturity? What if the path to true fulfillment lies not in conforming to society's expectations of constant social engagement, but in developing the courage to follow your natural inclination toward meaningful solitude? As we conclude our exploration of Schopenhauer's insights, we're left with a transformative perspective on intelligence, social life, and the nature of human fulfillment. The highly intelligent person's apparent indifference to social life isn't a flaw. It's a natural consequence of seeing beyond the social illusions that comfort others. This understanding offers a kind of liberation. It suggests that your need for solitude, your selective approach to social interaction, and your preference for deeper connections aren't symptoms of social failure, but signs of intellectual depth. Perhaps the greatest gift of intelligence isn't the ability to succeed in society's games, but the clarity to see beyond them to something more meaningful. In the end, Schopenhauer's philosophy offers not just an explanation for why intelligent people often seem disconnected from social life, but a broader invitation to reconsider our assumptions about what constitutes a well-lived life. Perhaps true fulfillment isn't found in the constant pursuit of social connection, but in the courage to embrace solitude as a path to deeper understanding and authentic self-realization. The next time you find yourself at the periphery of a social gathering, feeling that familiar sense of detachment, remember, your distance might not be a sign of failure but of insight. In choosing solitude over superficial connection, you might be following in the footsteps of history's greatest minds, choosing depth over distraction, wisdom over conformity, and authentic self-discovery over social performance. The question isn't whether you should force yourself to become more social, but whether you have the courage to embrace your natural inclination toward meaningful solitude. In doing so, you might discover that what appeared to be a limitation was actually an invitation to a deeper, richer, and more authentic way of being in the world.